Hi guys. So, I spent a bit of time trying to figure out what I should do for Thinking Man's Thursday this week. And having already done my ranty video for Rumble, I thought I should do something about gratitude. Now I know I missed Thanksgiving, so kind of a bit of a late thing, and it's post-Christmas, though by the time this comes out, it'll be approaching Old Christmas Day. I really need to fix that camera angle. There we are. It's a bit better. But yeah, I thought doing a piece on gratitude would be a good idea. So, I'm going to start off saying some of the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for people who actually watch my videos. I'm grateful for people who are willing to support me in making my content. I'm really grateful for the inspirations that motivated me to start making my content. People like Sargon of Akkad, Steven Crowder, Styx, Hex, and Hammer. Good gods. There's a lot more. The guys from Nerdrotic. Even, my friend Yiz the Eunuch. My buddy Cassandra Garduna, who I'm also grateful to for allowing me to interact with the universe of the Kika, the people that he's created, the lore he's created around a language. But you will hear people say things like, and generally this is a religious idea, that you should express a prayer of gratitude to God for all the good things that you have. The idea of saying grace at a meal, where you thank God for the food and, hope for better things and things of that nature. And I've heard it expressed from religious people that the idea of mindfully expressing gratitude is really good to make you feel like, trying to remember exactly how it was expressed to me. The idea that expressing gratitude mindfully, whether you say it openly, verbally, or not, whether you verbalize it or not, gives a certain degree of appreciation. And I do agree with that, and I apologize for scratching so much on camera, but I seem to have missed a spot last time I shaved, and it's itching like mad. But I have found that when I take the time to take stock of the good things in my life, and this is something I've always encouraged you guys to do, is to stop and appreciate your small victories. If you're someone like me who struggles with depression on occasion, whether it's simply being grateful for the ability to get out of bed in the morning, or it's something far more profound, like, for example, in the case of a parent being grateful for good kids, or being grateful simply for having healthy children. The inverse of that I've talked about a lot is how you should always be grateful for what you have, even if you're not necessarily in a great spot, because there's always someone who has it worse. Now, yes, it's a little bit callous to be happy that you're not that guy, or that you don't have that person's problems. It is a little callous. But at the same time, when you can take the moment to say, I'm really glad that I'm doing as well as I'm doing, it should give you the impetus to actually look up and go, I can probably help someone else a little bit. And, don't do, and I do apologize to the Christians among you, I am going to contradict Jesus here. I don't think it's a good idea to do what the woman in the parable did and give your last money to the church. I don't believe it is right to render yourself, to waste your resources. Not necessarily waste, but I don't think it's necessarily right to expend your resources in a way that leaves you in a lesser position, even if you're trying to help other people. In much the same way that I think it's very asinine that many government programs here in Canada are designed to help new Canadians. For example, when we had the Ukrainian refugees first arrive here in Newfoundland, our government went out of their way to find these people jobs. Meanwhile, there are people in Newfoundland who are desperate for work. There are programs now that provide vehicles for new Canadians. New Canadians. That's not people who are just born. That's people who have just immigrated to Canada. Now, I'm sorry. I understand some of these people are coming out of very bad places. However, it is absolutely insulting to the people who have been here and working and contributing to the system that is allowing these people to come here. It is very insulting to look at those people and go, sorry, we're not going to help you. We have to help that new guy that you helped us bring in. Yeah, it shows a distinct lack of gratitude from the politician class to the people who put them where they are and helped to build this country up, helped to build this society up. In much the same way, we have the anti-white agenda or movement or whatever term you want to use, or the anti-Western. And these people openly talk about how they hate Western society and they think Western society should be destroyed. However, they're doing that from within Western society with the protections that Western society provides. That's a little sideways. But to get back on point, gratitude. When you stop to take the time to appreciate what you have, to feel gratitude for your position, however bad it might be, it's still better than it could potentially be. I mean, think about it this way. The guy who's in an iron lung is at least indoors, not homeless. Granted, that's a bit of an extreme and somewhat hilarious comparison, but it's not wrong. Your perspective actually does affect how you feel in the run of the day-to-day. If you spend all your time feeling miserable, feeling oppressed, feeling victimized, then you make yourself into an oppressed victim. If, on the other hand, you spend your time realizing that you're somewhat blessed, whatever that term might mean to you, then you start to feel like the world is not against you. And ideally it isn't. There are, to borrow further religious terms, there are powers and principalities that might be against you. But the idea that the world is against you is one of the lies that depression can tell us. It's one of the denials of reality that some people have, or that some people allow themselves to believe. For myself, I have some barriers, some difficulties in life. Everyone does. And I could allow those barriers to make me feel defeated. And in fact, I did for quite some time. There were a combination of factors that basically pushed me to not quite my lowest ebb, but very close for a long while. And one of the things that I had to learn for myself, and this is the kind of wisdom that I want to pass on, is that even at my darkest, even at my lowest, I was not completely defeated. And I was not completely oppressed. I was not completely destroyed. Now, when someone looks at me and goes, "Oh, you're privileged," I go, how? Other than, and I will point out that, yes, in one sense, I am privileged. I'm culturally privileged because I have the privilege of having been born in the West. And Western society has the ideal of the individual being able to improve themselves, which is something it has over communism. Communism requires equality across the board. There is no way to lift everyone to the same level. So therefore, if you have some people who are here, some people who are here in communism, they're all coming down here. There is no other way to do it. You cannot take someone who has, you cannot start with someone who has great ability and give someone else that same ability to make them greater. It simply does not work that way. People are as we are. Certain aspects of reality have to be accepted. Now, you'll hear some people talk about the privilege of CEOs. I'm grateful that I'm not one of those hyper-competitive white males. Very grateful. Because if I were, all of my time would be dedicated to getting to the pinnacle of that particular field. I'm not interested in that. I would not want to live that type of life. Because, and this is something that I heard some time ago, the idea that you can either be money rich or time rich. I'm fortunate in that, and I'm grateful for the fact that I am currently very time rich, which is a nicer way to say that I'm unemployed. But, and I'm not completely unemployed. I do have the work doing this, which, while not necessarily paying very well, does give me a level of fulfillment that I wouldn't get if I were acting as a CEO. Mostly because I know how much I hate paperwork. And administrative duties are not my forte. I do not love them. What I love to do is what I do. Craft and talk. I'm a simple man. And I am content to be a simple man. But at the same time, I'm very grateful that if I want to take some time away, I can step away. I can stop work, for example, over Christmas. I can stop working and I can spend time with those who matter to me. Whereas, had I been someone who was one of those hyper-competitive CEOs who has to work 80, 90, 100 hours a week in order to maintain or achieve that greater level, it leaves such a negligible amount of time for other things. In the same way that feminism lied to women by telling them they could be CEOs and mothers, which is absolute bullshit, you simply cannot do that. You can certainly have children while you're a female CEO. Someone else has to raise them. That's not motherhood. That's simply having given birth. Yeah, that would be where the term birthing person would apply. But in so many ways, if you can find reasons to be grateful, no matter how bad your circumstances are, even for a matter of fact, if you can be grateful for the struggle that you have, because like it or not, struggles make you better. Struggle, conflict, causes people to grow. It causes change. And if you are grateful for anything, be grateful for the fact that you are not stagnant. So, while I'm not necessarily a prayerful person, but I know that there are prayerful people in my audience, if you haven't necessarily taken the time to take stock of your life, and regardless of what particular means you choose to do it by, whether you choose to offer a prayer to some god, deity, whatever you worship, thanking them for their contribution to your life, or if, like me, you simply look at the world around you and look at the circumstances of others and go, I'm very grateful I'm not that person. In whatever capacity you choose to express that gratitude, you should still attempt to find that gratitude within yourself. Because, as I said, you don't necessarily need to be grateful that it's not raining, but you can be grateful that you're breathing. There are always points of view and perspectives that you can adopt that will make your life better, that will elevate your mood or your mindset, whatever term you want to use, and ideally give you the impetus to seek more. Some people have to have a crisis before, some people have to have a crisis before they're able to create change in their lives, to find that growth. Some people are self-starters who will motivate themselves to go and find that change. People who are self-motivated should be grateful for being self-motivated. People who have to wait for a crisis should be grateful when the crisis comes. There's always something to be grateful for. In my case, I'm grateful that I have a good head for shaving, for example. I know it's a bit trite, a bit silly, but no matter how much gratitude you feel about something, it's always good to feel that gratitude because it does lift you up. So, go find something to feel grateful about. In any case, I'm grateful that you're having a good day. I hope you continue to have good days. And rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.